Hello everybody and welcome. Good afternoon Facebook fans. We are live from the Facebook offices in central London on International Women's Day. My name is Greg James and today I'll be joined by British actor and UN Women Global Goodwill Ambassador to whom International Women's Day means a lot. Last year she gave a very memorable speech, an incredible speech, a sensational speech really on gender equality, launching the HeForShe campaign. Please join me everybody and make a lot of noise for the wonderful Emma Watson. Welcome. Well, that's a lovely reaction. We haven't even said anything yet.
I know, I haven't said anything.
That's really good. Thank you all so much for coming and thank you very much for watching. And thanks for getting me involved. It's a real honour to be part of this. I watched the speech when it was, we did it in September and I felt absolutely compelled to do something, so I was really happy to be asked to get involved.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. Are you feeling well? Are you good and happy?
I'm good. I'm a little nervous, but I'm very excited. I'm very, very, very excited.
That's good.
This is amazing that Facebook have done this. It's so cool.
So your Facebook fan page has just passed 30 million fans.
I can't even wrap my head around that.
30 million is a lot of people.
Insane.
Yeah.
That's so many people.
So a lot of people are watching this
so many people.
Right now, and you keep up to date with your fans, and that's you like the conversation between you and your fans on there.
I really do. I think it's been such an amazing tool for me because I can instantly and directly share things that are really important to me, and it's really personal. You know, it's really nice to be able to do that. Really nice.
Do you get addicted to it because there's so much conversation the whole time? And it's
I do get a bit addicted actually. Yeah, it's so nice because you get instant feedback to things, and particularly with HeForShe, I'm so interested to see what you guys think and what and it's so nice to see things that I'm saying like starting debates and conversation, and I love seeing how all of that unravels really. It's really fun.
Well, the video that you put up to talk about this specific conversation was viewed 17 million times. I mean, that's crazy numbers, so a lot of people are watching today. And by the way, if you have got questions, please put it in the comments and we can try and get to them as the conversation goes on. We have so much to talk about, so let's get started. We're live at the Facebook offices today, and we'll get some fan questions later, which we'll have time for. But I want to talk about that speech that you did on the 20th of September. Now, obviously, talking at the UN is an incredibly nerve-wracking thing to do, I imagine. I mean, I can only imagine. I haven't actually spoken at the UN yet. They haven't asked me yet. But what was the mission statement? What was going through your head in the morning of that speech? What was the mission statement you wanted to get across?
I guess I really wanted to communicate that gender equality, historically, has been predominantly a women's movement for women. But I think the impact of gender inequality and how it's actually been affecting men hasn't really been addressed. So I really wanted to make that one of the clearest messages in my speech. And I think also our society in general devalues the she. And when I say that, I mean qualities that are associated with the feminine, which are found in all of us. And as a result, there's kind of this imbalance and this distortion, and it's just hindering our progress. It's causing discrimination and violence and pain and fear the world over, all the way, all over. And I just wanted to desensitize people to the issues and make them feel that they could be part of the problem and that they can make a difference, and to give people a voice and a platform with which to do that, with which to make change. So it's quite a lot to fit into 8 minutes, but I did my best, tried to cram it all in. Yeah, it was difficult. I really wanted to try and reach as many different people as possible in a very short space of time.
What were the immediate reactions from your fans and from the people that know you? What were the reactions after that speech? What was said immediately? And how did you feel after you'd done it? Did you feel like you absolutely got every point across? Did you feel that was a lovely moment for the campaign? It
felt like one of the most surreal moments of my life, I have to say. I remember at the end of it, seeing people start to stand up, and it was, like something from a dream or a film, or I thought maybe I died, and it was weird. It was just really surreal.
I can confirm you didn't die.
I didn't die,
No,
but kind of, a little bit. I felt like I could, this will sound really cheesy, but I felt like I could sort of die happy, like I'd sort of done kind of what the most important thing I might ever do. I was shaking, I was so nervous, but at least I got it out there. Like I'd managed to voice the words. I'd managed to get it out, and that was big for
So
me.
you talked a lot about inviting men to help fight sexism. So what was the reaction from the men around you and your male fans? What were they saying?
It was really touching because I got a lot of emails from, you know, my peer group, so guys I was at university with or guys I was at school with, but I got a lot of emails from men I'd worked with. You know, there was just a real, the demographic of men that I reached, it was sort of like everywhere from my dad and my dad's friends all the way down to my little brother Toby, you know, being all about it as well. So that was really cool. Yeah.
The support you got from other celebrities was also incredible, and there was a huge drive of pictures on social media and all the rest of it. Who were the ones that you were most proud of reaching, and you were so happy that they were joining in this campaign as well?
Yeah, I mean, just incredible. I had like a personal letter from the Archbishop of Canterbury, and you know, I had, you know, it was just mad. It was amazing. But you know, we've also had. We just actually launched a new program called Impact 10 by 10 by 10, and we have these impact champions who are piloting HeForShe programs within, you know, whether it's their government or whether it's their school or their business. And we've actually had the country of Sweden, the country of the Netherlands, we've had Sierra Leone, Unilever, PwC, Barclays, Tupperware, Sun University, Oxford University, yes. And we're announcing a lot more on March 10th. I'm not allowed to say who those other people are, but we, I mean, it's just incredible to have that kind of support, you know, on those kind of levels, you know, and then all the way down to, you know, I read a letter from a 13-year-old boy this morning, who was, you know, equally as passionate as the CEO of Unilever. So that's amazing. And it's only been 5 months. I mean, I think that's the other thing, is it's.
Well, I feel like it's made a huge impact in those 5 months, and obviously it's very important that your fans and the general public are getting behind this, but you do need those corporations to help push those messages home. So it sounds like everything's going pretty well so far.
It is, and yeah, I think, you know, in terms of male reactions, I think men have been like, yeah, we're on board, but now we're not really sure exactly how to help. It can be, they're still a little bit fearful and still a little bit confused of, okay, so how do I do this exactly? And I guess I'd just say that, you know, even the small gestures to the really big ones, it all changes and impacts somebody else's life. So
I saw one thing that I know you're very excited about was Steve Carell, who wore the HeForShe cufflinks at the Oscars. Now, I wanted to talk to you about this because he's kind of my hero, and I know you're a big fan of him too. So what was it like to see it in action, to see that people were just, that's a very subtle but lovely thing to do, isn't it, wearing some cufflinks? So
yeah,
things like that must make you go, okay, things are happening.
Completely. You know, I had no idea that he was going to do that, and then you know, it's just so overwhelming and humbling when men want to show their support like that. It's just so nice. It really is, and it does spread awareness, and it does make a difference. And you know, even if like 2 people on that night asked him what is your cufflink? What does that mean? What is that? And he said, oh well, you know, I'm taking a stand for gender equality. Yeah. You know, that in itself, it's huge.
So what are some of the things that you're asking your Facebook fans to do to be part of HeForShe? What are some of the things that they could actually, you know, take part in or do?
Well, first off, I have an amazing number of male Facebook fans, and I need to check the number because it's so many, it's so crazy, I can't even believe it. But yeah, we only have 200,000 commitments on HeForShe.org. So Facebook fans, one thing you can do, just right now even, if you want to, is go to HeForShe.org and make the commitment. We still need more men signing up on that petition. Yeah, so that's definitely a really good way, and you know, and then I think it's really cute. I asked my younger sister this morning. I was like, what would be the one thing? What would be the one thing that you would want from the boys in your life, from the men in your life? And she went, I just want them to want to play with us. Like, I just want, you know, and again, I was like, well, that translates at every level. Like, we just want to be included. We just, you know, we just want to be included. I was like, wow, yeah, it's really very concisely done that. And then for women, I think it's really acknowledging or feeling comfortable or confident enough to acknowledge that there is actually a problem. Because it's uncomfortable, it's awkward to acknowledge that there is a problem, but we need to understand that we are complicit. And another sort of anecdote is that, you know, a lot of the, just a lot of the criticism I've ever had in my life, some of the harshest moments of criticism or some of the hardest moments I've had have been comments from other women. And, you know, it's not just enough to ask men to come in and support us. We really need to support each other. We really do. So, you know, I guess I would say being brave enough to acknowledge that things aren't there yet, and also, you know, supporting each other massively.
You talked a lot about in your speech for the UN about the term feminism, and I suppose making sure people understand what you mean by that and what people mean by the term feminism. That I mean, what's your understanding of it, and what did you want to try and put across? Because there's lots of people. I think lots of people don't know what that necessarily means. And I think you said something like it was not a dirty word, but it was a word that people are afraid of using. People are reluctant to use it. Why do you think that is?
Because I think people associate it with hate, with man hate, and that's really negative. And I don't think that's what feminism is about at all. I think it's actually something incredibly positive. So I think that's why women became very reluctant to use that word. But I think that's changing, which is really cool. I'm aware of a lot more male feminists now than I was a few years ago, and it's really heartening. People have come back to what the actual definition means, which is equality, politically, culturally, socially, economically. That's it.
But even if
simple.
even if that small message gets through now, I'm trying to remember what I was like when I was 15.
Yeah.
So I was a 15-year-old boy, typical teenage boy. If someone said to you, "Are you a feminist?" I'd go, "Well, obviously not." But I think but now it should be, you know, if by that you mean I would like men and women to be treated equally, paid the same, and, you know, all that kind of thing, I would say yes, I am a feminist. But I think that's a very simple thing for people to try and grasp hold of.
It is. I think men think it's a women's word, that it's only women, it's only for women. But it really just means that you believe in equality. And if you stand for equality, then you're a feminist. Sorry to tell you. You're a feminist. I'm sorry. You're a feminist. That's it.
So from this point on, what are the things that you're going to be working on in the next few weeks, next couple of months? What are the next targets for you?
Next targets for me. Well, I'm going to harp on about this, but again, you know, getting more men to sign up to the petition, because 200,000 is just not. We're not there yet. We need more signing that petition. So that, and then really, it's working on the impact 10 by 10 by 10, and you know, we've had this amazing groundswell of support, and now we want to empower people to be able to take action and make change, and actually, you know, translate that passion into really doing something. So we're trying to support people with that, and we've been collecting HeForShe stories. So people have been sending us their stories, and I spend for hours reading these. They are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sending them in. I mean, it's just really heartening, actually. I go to bed at night feeling really optimistic about the state of affairs in the world, because I can see that there are people that really want to make a difference, and it's really cool.
Who are the people that inspired you, the females in your life?
Yeah.
Maybe ones that you knew, your family, but also the ones that you watched on telly or you read, things that they've written. Who were the people that inspired you?
Well, it's Mother's Day soon, so I guess the obvious choice is my own mum. She was a single working mother. She's also type 1 diabetic. So seeing her strength and resilience was really inspiring growing up, really inspiring. And I think she instilled in me, particularly in my teenage years when I was feeling very insecure and confused about what my purpose was. She really, really instilled in me that what I was thinking and what I was doing and what I was saying were ultimately infinitely more important than my physical appearance. Even when the world was really telling me the contrary. And she really encouraged me to be an individual. I remember her being thrilled when I got my first detention. Because she was really worried, I think, that I was going to be a bit straight-laced.
What was it for?
Oh, I failed the Latin exam. Yeah.
You failed an exam and that was a detention?
Yeah, I failed. I think I failed it a few times, actually, maybe more than once. Anyway, let's not go into that. But I think she did. She wanted me to be my own person, and she thought a bit of rebellion was a good thing. I'm not sure how failing my Latin exam was rebelling, but we'll go with that. So yeah, my mum, she's awesome.
Yeah.
She's a great lady.
We mentioned at the start about the speech at the UN. Talk a bit about how the partnership with the UN came about, because this is the UN obviously is a huge organisation, and when they approached you, or did you approach them? How did it come about?
So I had already been working for fair trade, for a fair trade company which was supporting women abroad so that they had sort of economic independence. And then I was also working for a charity called CanFed, which provides scholarships for girls in countries where they wouldn't normally get to go. Usually it's boys that get sent and girls don't get really past primary school education. So I've been doing work with that, so I think they knew where my interests, where they lie, and they reached out to me, and then I had this amazing conversation with Elizabeth, who works for the UN. She's in the audience, and it was really just a meeting of minds, because she said, well, we have this thing called HeForShe, and it's, and I went, oh my God. It's completely my take on feminism, that we need to be including men in the conversation, we need to be including them in the dialogue. I have 4 brothers, I can see gender inequality is affecting them just as much as it's affecting me. We need to open up the dialogue. We need to give men a space where they feel that they can talk about this issue. And she was like, well, that's what it is, and she gave me the baton, and I've kind of been running as hard with it as I can ever since. So it would just kind of felt very meant to be. And I was clearing out my room a few months ago and found essays and diary entries I'd written when I was 15, and I can sort of see with hindsight that speech had sort of been gestating in my head for a long time. And I never thought I'd be working for the UN. It's just amazing. But
I think it felt like that when we watched it. I think people would agree, if they're watching in here, I think people would agree with that's been percolating for quite a while. So what were the things when you were growing up that you couldn't, but in hindsight you now go, that was unfair, that was not cool? What were the things that you would want to change initially? If there was one thing you could just stamp out right now, would there be something?
I've been incredibly lucky. I really have been supported. and had access to just a lot of opportunities that women in other countries probably aren't. So, you know, I would never complain about my personal situation, but gosh, I guess it's just, I think it starts young. I think it starts really young, with girls and boys being told what they have to be, and it can just be really damaging. I think, yeah, I mean, it's difficult because I have been incredibly fortunate, and you know, I think just encourage and include each other. Don't try and sort of ostracize each other, and just have an open mind, and don't have expectations based on the gender or the sex you see in front of you. I mean, there was a BBC report today just about the fact that in maths and science and engineering and, you know, all of these other subjects, that girls just aren't doing as well. And the biggest reason they say for that is because these are generally associated to be male subjects. And so women or young girls feel that if they did those subjects, they would be inherently less attractive. And, you know, that's another example of, you know, dispel that myth. You know, like, it doesn't need to be like that.
It was interesting what you said about your brothers experiencing gender equality.
Yeah.
In what way, I mean, not specifics necessarily, but in what way have they spoken to you about it from a male perspective?
I think there's a lot of posturing that goes on with men, and I've just had my brother say to me a few times that he's like, I just can't be around the way that some of my guy friends talk about girls. It just, like, I'm not sure they even know what they mean when they're saying it, but it's like they're imitating something. They're imitating this thing that they think they have to be, this male idea. And he's like, I just feel really constrained by that, and it really upsets me. I had a very similar letter from a man in the military. He said that he experiences that a lot. I think we don't acknowledge how much pressure we put on men to conform to a certain perception of masculinity. I don't think we do. So, yeah, it's nice to hear that, and seeing how upset they get when, you know, for example, after I gave my speech in September, I wasn't going to talk about this, but it's coming up. You know, there was a website that was set up threatening to release naked photographs of me, you know, with like a countdown and whatever else. And I knew it was a hoax. I knew the pictures didn't exist. But I think a lot of people that were close to me knew gender equality was an issue, but they didn't really think it was that urgent, or particularly, you know, we live in Great Britain. You know, this is a thing of the past. You know, oppression of women. It's sort of, we're fine, aren't we? We're good. We've got far enough. And then when they saw that the minute I stepped up and talked about women's rights, I was immediately threatened. I mean, within less than 12 hours, I was receiving threats. And I think they were really shocked, and particularly one of my brothers was very upset. So I think it was just a wake-up call of like, oh, this is like a real thing that's really happening now. Like now, women are receiving threats in all sorts of different forms. That was just one specific one. And I think I was upset that the media immediately reported it as fact without any evidence to the contrary, and you know, and it really just publicized something that was really, really negative. But I mean, it's funny because people were like, "Oh, she's going to be disheartened by this." If anything, it made me so much more determined. Yeah. I was just raging. It made me so angry that I was just like this is why this needs to be, this is why I have to be doing this. This is why I have to be doing this. So if anything, it actually, if they were trying to put me off it, did the opposite.
Yeah, well, was it? Absolutely. Well, there's a wonderful message to the. It was a despicable thing to do, but you know, as you say, nasty things happen all the time, and it's the way you deal with them and the way that you can channel that into something
completely
something
channel
better.
that energy,
channel
that anger.
Absolutely.
Channel that anger.
I thought it was absolutely fantastic when you were talking about. I wrote down some notes actually when I was watching it because I wrote down the aggressive versus submissive kind of argument, you know, between boys and girls from a young age, and also you talking about both being free to be sensitive and strong, men and women.
Yeah.
And where were you when I was 15 and needed someone to say that? Do you know, that is because I've always been a massive softie. I love Coldplay. I really.
Amazing.
I need, but you know, but when you're surrounded, I played a lot of cricket, played a lot of sports for school, and you have a lot of lads, and that was not something that I really liked particularly.
Yeah.
So
That's fair
it needed. I think that's a really powerful message to everyone watching this now who's going through puberty, going through those teenage years, which are so difficult. They're so horrible, aren't they? You don't know what you are, you don't know what's going on. So I think someone like you standing up and saying things like that is really important. And you must feel that from your fans. The feedback from people must have been, thank God you said something like this for us.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, I'm really genuinely disturbed by this idea that men can't cry and that they just can't express themselves. They can't talk about how they actually feel. I think that's actually the saddest thing in the world. It's so bad.
I can cry, believe me.
Excellent.
On demand sometimes.
It's crazy. It's what makes you human. How you feel, being able to express yourself, being passionate, being emotional. It's what makes you human. It's not what makes you a girl. It's what makes you human. I mean, it's if you've got a beating heart and you care about things, that's great. That's so good. So, yeah, good. Yeah.
Let's move on to some fan questions, shall we?
Yeah.
So what happened was Emma put on your Facebook fan page, give me some questions and I will try and answer them. There were so many questions that what we decided to do was we looked through them and just thought of the big themes, of the questions. So we'll start off with this question here. So the HeForShe supporters would like to know how gender equality has affected you personally. And have you been discriminated personally against because of your gender? And if so, how did you deal with it?
Good question. Well, yes. I have. When I was going through comments that were sent in for this Q&A, and most of them were really thoughtful and great. And then as I was going through, one popped up which was just, Emma, why aren't you in the kitchen? Wow. I went, okay, interesting. And it's interesting because when I was younger, my brothers actually used to say things like that to me because, as a joke, because they knew I would get riled up. They'd get a rise out of me basically. And so I was thinking about this. I was thinking about, when do you engage and when do you not? And how do you have a meaningful dialogue on this topic when perhaps one isn't really being wanted? And so I guess what I would tell my younger self if someone said that to me then, and how I feel about it now, is that I know that I'm not alone in this fight, that it's an education problem, and that in the not too distant future, I really hope that most people will be horrified by a comment like that, as opposed to sort of mildly irked. And so I guess, it's just, I have a much calmer conviction now, I think, than I used to when I was younger. I mean, it still does upset me, and it's good that it upsets me because it should. But you know, I think I know the difference between knowing when someone wants to have a meaningful dialogue about gender equality, and when someone just wants to get a rise out of you, I think.
There was quite a lot of discussion about gender equality in the developing world, and that's obviously a huge problem, as we mentioned earlier, about the traditional route in many countries would be for boys to go to school, secondary school, girls not to. How does that make you feel, first of all, and what would you like to see over the next few years?
Gosh, I mean, first of all, if someone had told me that my brother could go to school, but I couldn't because I was a girl, I just would have been so hurt and so baffled and so, why? And the fact that this is still going on, the world over, really, it's something that really needs to be addressed. But I guess I'd just say, how and why are you not recognizing the potential of that girl? Why are you not recognizing what she can bring to the table? And we need yin and yang. We need that balance, and we need female representation. We need female leadership. Women have so much to offer. We're such an untapped part of this world. So much potential just gets wasted because girls aren't encouraged in the same way that men are. We can achieve so much.
It's interesting because I literally this morning came back from a comic relief trip in Uganda, and we were focused in a village called Iolwa, which is they've put a new health centre there, part of comic relief, and it was an absolutely fascinating experience, and visiting some of the local schools and things to see that there were many girls there, that things are changing, but it needs campaigns like HeForShe, I think, to really push this message home that it's not, it's a global problem. But one of the amazing things about the sign up of men so far to the website is that there's men in every country that have signed up to this. So it is reaching that global audience, isn't it?
It definitely is, and I think even in Britain, we have an equal number of women at university as men. But then at a certain point, we're just dropping out. We just aren't being encouraged into those leadership positions. We're just not. We're not getting past a certain point. And so, yes, it needs addressing abroad, but it still needs addressing here. In the West, we're not there yet at all. We've still got so much work that we need to do, and that we need to pioneer.
What do you say to the people that message you on your social networks and say, someone said I can't do an engineering course because I am a girl? And this must be, it's regular, isn't it? People say these sorts of things.
It is regular. Oh, just don't let anyone tell you what you can or cannot do, or can or cannot achieve. Just don't allow it. Just do not allow it. It's wrong. It's so wrong. Be whatever you want to be. And that's the amazing thing about social media, is that, wherever you live in the world, or whatever conditioning, or whatever the people around you might think, you can access a whole community of other people that think differently and that want to support you. And, that was a crazy moment for me. It was, not really thinking. I just responded immediately to this girl who texted saying, my dad says girls can't be engineers, and I just said, well, and what can I do, about this? I said, well, go and be an engineer. Just go and prove them wrong. You can do it. And then within, a couple of hours, 3 or 4 different engineering academies, fellowships, whatever else had contacted her and said, women can definitely be engineers, and we'd love to help you do that. And that's amazing. That's so amazing. That's the amazing thing about what social media can do, is it connects people in the world to a community that they might not be able to access directly around them, and helps them, think bigger. It's cool.
We have someone in the audience who'd like to ask a question. Where is Ella, please? Ella, are you here? Now hold on, we need to get you a microphone, otherwise no one's going to hear you. So, There you go. Hi.
Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Media states you earn less in your film roles in the Harry Potter series than Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grint. Is it true? And how can we address the issue of unequal pay between men and women?
Good question.
Thank you.
Interesting question. Thank you. I don't think I would ever even dream of complaining about my personal circumstances. But yes, there is a big problem in my industry, in the film industry, in the industry which I work. Currently, females comprise 7% of directors, 7%. 19.7% are writers, 2.2% are producers, 13% executives are women in the film industry. And we know that when you have a female writer or when you have a female director, you know, there's a higher, you know, representation of women. So that's a pretty huge problem, which, yes, which needs to be addressed. So yeah, thank you for the question.
Those statistics are terrible.
I know. I
Really,
know.
I think
it's really bad. It's really, really, really bad. I think we saw that acknowledged at the Oscars this year. I think there's an awareness, but you know, 7% of directors are female. 7%. Why are we not telling women's stories? Why are women not telling their own stories, directing their own stories? It's crazy. It's got to be done.
So where does that start? Is it? I mean, obviously, HeForShe is very much men and women standing together, working together to become, you know, for it to become a normal thing that everyone is equal. So where does it begin in tackling it in a thing like the film industry? How do you start that?
There have been moments when I've struggled with it in my own life as a woman, which is, for some reason, women are still in a place where we feel like we need to be given permission. Like we need permission to be our full selves, to use our full voice, to want to lead, and I think that has to change with encouragement and role models, and you know, just changing that mindset.
A lot of the comments that I read on your Facebook page were from a new generation of activists, I suppose. So you're young fans who have grown up watching you and, you know, been a fan of yours for many years, and they are a new generation.
It makes me so happy to hear you calling my fans like activists. It's so cool.
They're
because
activists.
It's true. They are.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
They're a wonderful, powerful army, really.
Seriously.
But that can galvanise so many different types of people as well. So a lot of the comments were sort of saying, okay, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Now what? What do you want me to do? Give me some instructions.
Give me some instructions.
So if there's boys and girls watching this right now, back to school tomorrow, what are the things that they can do? Are they shouting about things? Are they saying you shouldn't really talk about women that way? What are the things that they could do? The simple, everyday things.
Gosh. Well, you know, it's kind. I think people feel intimidated because they feel like they have to come up with like some grand, huge scheme that, you know, it's not as complicated or intimidating as that. Actually, it's everyday, it's individuals, it's on a case-by-case basis, taking action, just doing something. Whether it's speaking up, whether it's, you know, just trying to change the way that someone else thinks about the issues. It can be done in so many different ways, and the stories that I've been getting are a testament to that. There've been some really creative ideas, which we're actually going to start publishing people's stories on the website of what people are doing and how they're choosing to help. But I can't tell people. It's got to be your story. It's got to be how you personally can make a difference. And it can be anything. And the smallest thing, the smallest gesture goes such a long way. It does. It really, really does.
There were also a lot of comments about the dichotomy That's a great word,
Nice
by the way.
word, yeah.
Between
Word usage.
between chivalry and sexism. Okay, and I think this kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier, which is saying feminism.
Yes.
Going, I'm a feminist. Am I a feminist? And like a man saying, "Am I a feminist?" I don't know what that means. Kind of treading on eggshells around the
Yeah.
whole thing. So there was a lot of people were sort of saying things like, as a woman, would you be offended if a man opened a door for you? And there's a lot of people who think about things like that and go, well, I mean, they're worrying maybe about the smallest issues there.
Panic.
But how would you feel? Because I will base what I do when we leave here
on
your
what I
answer.
say now. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
No pressure.
Just to let you know.
I love having the door open for me. I mean, isn't that just polite? Isn't that just nice? Isn't that just a nice thing to do for someone else? I love having the door open for me. I love being taken to dinner. It's so great. But I think the key is, would you then mind if I open the door for you?
Absolutely not.
In the corridor.
No.
Excellent.
I'm lazy.
Well, then that works great.
Yeah.
I'm polite and you're polite.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're making the world a better place with this small, kind, polite gesture. It's great. And again, you know, I actually took a man out for dinner and I chose the restaurant and I offered to pay. And it was really awkward and uncomfortable. I'm just going to say that. It was not going down well. It was
Really?
not because, actually, I'm sure he would say he was a feminist, but he was just like, oh, this is a bit, I'm not really sure about this. It's making him feel a bit touchy. But the cool thing about it was that we were both willing to have the conversation about why it was awkward or why it was uncomfortable or we were able to have this dialogue where I was like, well, it's okay. I chose the restaurant because it's my favorite restaurant and I would love to pay, but next time you choose the place and you pay or whatever it is. You're going to split it or whatever makes you each feel comfortable. Yeah. But it's just, I think the key is like chivalry should be consensual. Both parties should be feeling good about that. And I think it's just a problem when people expect things to be a certain way, to follow a certain status quo. And it's awkward and it's messy and we're in transition right now and everyone doesn't really feel like they know what to do, but it's okay. Just be willing to have that awkward conversation. It does come out okay in the end. It does. It really does.
Also, Nando's is quite cheap, so you're probably fine.
Yeah.
So
I like Nando's. Yeah.
So I think we've covered that one.
Yeah, I think we're good on that.
Yeah.
Politeness is great. I love politeness.
But it's just politeness
I love
between
chivalry.
two humans, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Yes, that's the key.
I would equally open the door for a man, and I would, that's
Equally
fine.
open it for
Just
a
be a
woman.
polite. I would have been brought up well by my mother, and she would
Yes,
say,
and
"Open the
this
door
is-
for someone. Hold the door open for someone."
This is key, and I would do the same.
Okay.
Excellent.
A lot of questions on the Facebook page in the comments about LGBT community. Okay, so the HeForShe campaign. In your statement, there were people who watched it and thought, okay, great, but what about my community? What about people around me in my life? So how will the HeForShe campaign benefit the LGBT community?
Okay, really good question, really important question. So HeForShe is about men coming in to support women and femininity and feminine qualities because they are currently valued less by our society. Feminine qualities are generally valued less. And I think femininity needs to be embraced wherever it's found, whether it be found in a man, whether it be found in a woman, whether it be found in a gender non-conforming person. Wherever it's found, we need to be embracing it. I'm also against racism and homophobia and classism and ableism and xenophobia and all of it. I mean, my specific mandate is to advocate for women and girls. I'm a UN Goodwill Ambassador for Women. So, I'm here to do that. But I also understand that these oppressions are interlocking, mutually reinforcing, and that intersectionality is a really important word here. And we just need to be supporting each other, definitely, 100%. And I hope the LGBT community does feel included and does feel that this is their movement, because it is. It definitely is. So if the UN Secretary General is watching this, my dream would be that I would be working for the UN Equality Agency, that gender equality would be such a thing of the past that wouldn't even need to exist. It would just be UN Equality Agency, period. Full stop.
Yeah.
Done. That's the dream. That's the dream. That is the dream.
There was a question that just flashed up a minute ago, actually, up here, which was, I don't know where, it's gone now.
Oh.
It's gone. But it was, there it is.
Oh.
That was clever. How did you know what I was thinking?
Wow.
It's Facebook, they know everything. It was, oh, it's gone
Reading
again,
your
great.
mind.
It was basically a question which said, if you didn't do something now with this campaign, with HeForShe, what do you think would be happening in 10 years' time? And what are your fears about, what are your worst fears about in the next 10 years if we don't make a stand now?
I think for some reason we have this view. It's like women have the vote in this country. You know, we're doing all right. This isn't. There's a lack of a sense of urgency around this issue, and also people not really understanding what a huge impact this issue has all over the world. I think it's probably one of the biggest contributors to poverty, to violence, to discrimination. It hinders development, progress, all over the world. And you know, just for example, I was reading The Guardian this morning. As reported in The Guardian this morning, 85,000 women are raped in the UK a year. 85,000, that's where we're at. 16% gender pay gap. Parliament, 77% male. I mean, just tell me there isn't a problem here. Just tell me there isn't a problem. It just doesn't make sense to me that we're so not there yet. The UK ranked 56th in the world for female political representation. We hopefully should move up to 36th in May, but it's still embarrassing. I mean, we're meant to be one of the biggest, most progressive democracies in the world. We should be at the forefront of this. We should be leading the way, and we're straggling behind. We're not. It's just sort of stagnating for some reason, and you know.
Those figures again are ridiculous. So
I know.
Why has
Just
it got like that?
This morning those came out.
But do you think it's got like that because, like you said, women have got the vote, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, so that was quite a while ago.
Yeah, I think they think that gender inequality is, you know, I don't know what they think. It's definitely a problem. It's definitely a problem now. And this is why there's something that came up with someone about, you know, first world feminism. That's, who cares about that? And I find this really confusing because I'm like, surely I've been incredibly privileged, and I haven't been held back because I'm a girl, but surely it's therefore my responsibility to make sure that other women have access to the same privileges that I have. Surely surely it'd be bad if I wasn't doing this. Like, you know, making sure that what I've been lucky enough to receive in my life is extended outwards. So yeah, crazy figures, really upsetting figures.
I wanted to address, I think we've kind of covered this, but I wanted to address it because it was talked about a lot on your Facebook page. But obviously it generated a lot of conversation when you did the UN speech.
Yeah.
It was something crazy like 1.2 billion social media conversations. I mean, that's great. That's a great start. A lot of people were, not a lot, but there was a lot of criticism from about the role of women in the movement. Okay,
Right.
so that was kind of, all right, well, is this a man's club type thing? Is this men saving women? But I think it's very important that that's not the message from this campaign at all.
No, it's not about men saving women, and I think it's a misunderstanding. I think that's a misunderstanding. I think Women are already in the club. We're already in the club, and because it's our movement. It's our movement. It's not a men's club, it's an equality club for both genders. It's an equality club for both genders. It's about men coming in support of women and women coming in support of men. It's both of those things. And Gloria Steinem actually, so cool, Gloria Steinem gave a speech last week at a HeForShe event in New York. Surreal and amazing. And she used this really beautiful, kind of amazing metaphor. She said that the human race is like a bird, and it needs both of its wings to be able to fly. And at the moment, one of its wings is clipped, and we're never, ever, ever going to be able to fly as high unless you know, we're both in support of each other. That's it. I mean, we created HeForShe specifically at UN Women because we wanted to create a space where men felt that they were able to express what gender inequality was like for them, because we knew that historically, you know, they hadn't been given that space. They hadn't been given that safe space. But we want them to be part of the solution and the conversation, and we want them to be taking action with us, and we want to do it together. Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's a good moment to say, get yourself onto the website and pledge your allegiance,
yes,
really, isn't it?
Please pledge your allegiance. There's lots of you saying that you support it, but go and it takes 2 seconds, I promise. I hate filling in online forms. I get it, it's so boring and annoying. But you literally just type in your name, and then you tick a box, and it's 10 seconds. But it would be really cool if we could have more people.
And that's HeForShe.org.
And actually, sorry, it's not. It's a it's a commitment. That's what it is. You go on the website and you make your commitment. Please, if you're a man and you believe in equality and you're one of those cool male feminists that I've been meeting recently, go and put your name on our website, HeForShe.org.
I'm a male feminist, but I'm not particularly cool, but that still counts.
That's fine.
Right? Okay, sure.
We that's fine. Uncool men are welcome too.
Okay,
we love
great.
you too.
Good to know. Another controversial question, actually, is about what are you doing to address the discrimination against men or violence towards men from women?
Well, first of all, we're even acknowledging that it exists because I think people don't think this is a thing. Again, it's we're not. I don't think in the past we've addressed how men are suffering as a result of gender inequality. This has not been part of the conversation, but it is. You know, men are the recipients of violence and abuse and discrimination. And I think just acknowledging it, first of all, is a big step. And then, you know, we're also trying to give them a safe space where they feel like they can talk about these issues, where there previously, you know, wasn't before. And we want to try and, you know, help and support them. You know, I think violence against anyone is abhorrent. But just because we're saying it's not right that women are the recipients of violence, we're definitely not encouraging violence against men. That's not how the logic works. Yeah, it's equally important.
One of the wonderful things in that speech, which I keep going back to, because it affected me quite a lot. I really enjoyed it, and I really connected with what you said. But the thing that I think a lot of your fans and people watching this can take away is when you talked about, if not me, then who? And if not now, then when? And that's, again, you're sort of underlining the urgency of this.
Yeah.
Because this is a problem that is happening right now. And it's not really getting much better at the moment.
It's really interesting. I hear this a lot, and I've heard my girlfriend say it, and I've heard my guy friends say it too, which is just, you know, I saw this thing happen today, and it was just so rubbish, and it was just so embarrassing what they were saying, and it was so, you know, whatever else, but I just thought, you know, who am I, you know, or what good would it do if I said something? It's like the person that was the recipient of that misogynistic comment, or, you know, or whatever it was, it'd make a huge difference to them, massive difference to them. Could change their day, their month, their year, maybe even their life, really could. So don't ever hear in your own head, who am I to say something? You are a human being, you are a person, you can 100% change the world. And it's small ways, it's everyday ways, it's the little things really count and really matter. And be brave, be brave, be brave.
We have a little bit of time for some questions from the audience, if that's all right. So if we do have anybody who would like to ask a question, yours was the speediest hand I've ever seen, sir. That was straight up. The guy in the Hogwarts jumper. So brace yourself.
Okay, I'm braced.
Wait for the microphone. Okay.
Hi, Emma.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
There we go. I think we're on now.
Yeah.
Hi, Emma. I'm Thomas. Every time I'm involved in a debate about gender equality, specifically equal pay, the most frequent argument I hear against it is that it shouldn't be fair for women to be paid the same as men. Sorry. Because it's more likely for women to be taking time off on maternity leave. Obviously, that's not really fair at all. Not really fair, Phil, but what would you have to say to people who have that argument?
Gosh. Yeah, I've come across this argument a lot. I guess I would just say that maternity leave in this country is around 2 months, 2 or 3 months, and I don't think in the grand scheme of things that's the kind of amount of time that's really going to hinder a woman from being able to achieve and be incredibly effective in whatever her particular field is. And I think men should be equal partners in raising children. I do. I think there shouldn't be an assumption that having children is something that only affects women, because women need men's support in those circumstances just as much. And I think it's a really unfair assumption to make that it's only women that are going to be sidetracked by raising children. It's one of the most important things as a human being, you know, that you can be involved with, is fostering and nurturing a human being. And men need to be playing their part too. I don't think it's enough to discriminate against a woman or hold her back or not to recognize the potential that she has.
Thank you, Thomas.
Great question, thanks.
In your Hogwarts jumper.
Yeah,
Expelliarmus.
great question.
Okay, we have loads more. Yes, wavy lady hand there.
Yes, you.
We should have name tags above everyone's head.
Yeah,
really.
we should.
Hi.
Are we on?
Is it working?
No.
Are we on?
Yes, it's
There we
okay.
go.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Sophie. If you had the magic power, what would you change to help women? And what would you convince male employees to support your action?
How would I encourage male police to support women in the police force?
And how would you convince male employees,
Male employees, yeah.
because I am from a business part, to support your actions?
To support.
Yeah, to support your actions. How would you
Oh,
how would you convince male employees to support your actions in a workplace?
Gosh, I mean, the pay gap is such a big one. It's like, if you know that a woman is doing exactly the same work that you are, and you know that she's being paid less, it'd be so cool if you said something about it. That would be amazing. That would be so great. And if you're a business leader, or if you have that power at the top of your company, then ask the question: are the women you're employing being paid the same? And make sure that you are. Make sure that you are. And it's that simple.
I suppose if
really.
there's managers and
Yeah.
bosses watching this,
Yeah.
then that should be one
Yeah.
of the things they do next week.
Yeah,
That should be one of the
please,
things.
just go through, just look at it. Look at your figures honestly, and just see, are you paying women the same as men for the same work?
Yes, sir, in the purple. You might have to wait some time for this microphone to get passed back here. Unless you brought your own microphone, in which case you can use that.
That would be.
I've come
That
prepared.
would be so cool.
I knew I'd get the opportunity.
Yeah.
Finally. Hi, Emma. My name's HeForShe. I wanted to ask you, well, firstly, I'm a big fan of Hermione Granger, but a bigger fan of Emma Watson, who is the face for HeForShe.
Thank you.
My question essentially is that if you were a man, would you be equally passionate about gender equality?
If I was a man,
Yes.
you know, it's interesting.
You have to think quite hard about this one.
If I was a man, no. I'd say my brother, actually, weirdly, is more of a feminist than I am. He's pretty passionate, and we look a bit like twins. So I can kind of get myself in that headset. No, yeah, I would. I definitely would, because it's right, not because I have a mother or a sister or or whatever. Just because it's right.
Are you passionate because you're a man?
Absolutely.
Good. Excellent. Good to see. Yes. Man tie in the front row. Lovely,
Hello,
lovely,
Emma.
a lovely
I'm
tie
really-
there.
Yes.
So I'm a really big fan of your work, and my question is regarding something that I'm currently studying, and it's regarding gender in the workplace. And it's what would you say are the root causes of gender inequality in the workplace, and how do you think HeForShe can help overcome this problem?
Gender equality in the workplace.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about it.
We have. Even though in Britain, for example, we've passed laws and we've passed legislation, there's still a big gap in people's minds and people's mindsets. Traditions and social change. It just takes time, changing the way that people think. It's a slow process. So it's really asking someone the right question that makes them go, huh, yeah, I guess that does make sense. Or I guess this thing that's happening doesn't really make sense, but I've just accepted it because that's how things have always been. So I guess it's just questioning. It's being willing to question things and make up your own mind.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have run out of time for audience questions. We could be here for
I
hours, couldn't we,
know,
right?
this is terrible.
But thank you so much. One final thing from me. Do you think that it's possible in our lifetimes to achieve what you're trying to set out to achieve? Gender equality?
At current rates, no. I will probably be dead. But I think I'm just going to refuse to die. I think I'm just going to be like, no, I'm not going to go. You're not going to get rid of me until I get to see an equal number of female prime ministers and presidents and CEOs and more men that actually feel like it's okay to express how they really feel about things, and more fathers that are present in their children's lives. And, and until I see us all not policing and ostracizing each other and oppressing each other, and where I live in a world where there just isn't such a narrowly defined definition of masculinity and femininity, I'm just not going to go. Just won't. Just won't. Just refuse. If someone could scientifically come up with a way for that to happen, please let me know.
Emma would like to be frozen cryogenically.
I'd like to be, so that I can come back and be alive to witness a world where there's gender equality. That would be cool.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. Ladies and gentlemen, Emma Watson.
Thank you.
What a lovely crowd, lovely audience. Thank you for your questions. Thank you very much, everybody. You are a wonderful audience.
Yeah, you really were. Thank you so much for everyone that came and sent in and just interacted and engaged with this. It's been amazing. Thank you.
And thank you for watching as well. If you've been inspired by what's gone on here today and want to find out more about the campaign, and get onto the HeForShe Facebook page and sign up, pledge your allegiance to it. I've certainly been galvanised into it, and I am one of them. So keep an eye on Emma's Facebook page as well. And thank you so much for watching. Goodbye from Facebook. Thank you so much.
Yes,
That was great.
Thank you so much. Goodbye. Thank you, thank you, thank you.